Yo, what is up guys, this is Twister and today I'm back with another video, and in this one we're going to be talking about the Gunrunning DLC that should be coming soon to GTA. I really want it to come as soon as possible because, well, GTA is a bit stale right now, especially for me, and I just want some new content to play in GTA, so I'm really hoping that Gunrunning DLC comes soon, and I'm hoping that it's really good, that it breathes some new life into GTA, and for that to happen there's just a few things that I would really like to see in the DLC and that I would like from the DLC in general. So that's what I wanted to talk about and discuss in this video. But for those of you who maybe aren't aware what this Gunrunning DLC is, I mean, you should be at this point because I'm pretty sure it's being covered to death in regards to YouTube videos at this point. But if you're not aware, basically Rockstar teased the DLC a good few months ago, I believe, in a Rockstar Newswire post, saying that there will be an upcoming Gunrunning DLC some point in this summer, so that's hopefully pretty soon from now. But if you don't actually know what Gunrunning is, well, it's basically another word for arms trafficking, so trafficking weapons and ammunition. That's literally what it says as soon as you Google Gunrunning. So it looks like it's going to be another one of the big DLCs for GTA, a big update, and we're going to be expecting to steal and sell basically weapons and ammunition. That's probably the whole point of the DLC. And looking back at the previous updates where we've been stealing and selling high value cargo, we've been doing the same things with cars, and then also the same stuff with weed and cocaine farms and whatever in the biker businesses. I'll be very surprised if this new Gunrunning DLC differs completely to the general gameplay formula that we've had in the previous updates, with those systems like buying stock or whatever and then going on to selling it. So with that in mind, there's probably going to be one person that's, let's say, is the leader of operations like the CEO was before, and then there's going to be like a team of bodyguards or whatever it is called this time around. And there's one thing that I said I would hope it was going to be fixed in the import-export DLC, and that's proper associate payouts, or whatever the new term for associates is, whether it's armed bodyguards or whatever, for however this military DLC works. I really hope that the people playing as the associates get fair payouts for whatever the missions are, whether it's buying stuff, selling stuff, stealing stuff, whatever the associates are doing. I hope they get good payouts to make it worth their time, because let's go back to import and export DLC. The associates barely got paid anything, so nobody wanted to play as associates. Everybody wants to be a CEO, no one's doing the associate work, and it really limits the cooperative aspect of what you would expect from, well, like these team-based gameplay missions where you can have up to 4 people buying stuff, selling stuff and stealing stuff. A lot of it just came down to one CEO doing it on their own pretty much all the time, because there were never really anyone that wanted to be their associate, because, well, everyone was just a CEO. That's basically just how it worked. And a lot of that was down to the fact that the associates barely got paid anything in comparison to what the CEO got paid, which was just a huge negative in my opinion, and that's something that I hoped was going to be fixed in the import-export DLC, but it really wasn't, so I hope it's going to be addressed and made a lot better for this Gunrunning DLC. So whatever the, let's say, associates are doing, hopefully the payouts that they get are somewhat significant and actually just fair payouts for the work that they've got to carry out. Now, another thing that I want to see in this Gunrunning DLC is real challenging content that is actually really rewarding as well. And again, this is personally one of my small issues with the import and export DLC. If you just look at the stuff you had to do, you had to steal cars, bring them back to your warehouse, and then sell them. And that was really easy. It was so easy compared to a lot of the other stuff in GTA. I honestly just found it too easy. I think it was oversimplified, and it just wasn't challenging to play at all. And after a while, that just made me not want to play it, because I knew how easy it was. So that's something that I hope changes in the Gunrunning DLC. Whatever the missions there are that we end up doing, I hope that it's challenging, and I hope that it's extra rewarding as well because it's challenging. I'm not just talking about harder difficulty enemies that take more damage and deal more damage to you, because that's a pretty bad way from an actual game design perspective. That's a pretty bad way of increasing difficulty of missions. I actually want them to be somewhat complex, not too simple, to a point where they're pretty challenging and therefore they are rewarding as well. It's pretty hard to suggest how to make Gunrunning DLC pretty challenging because I've got no idea of whatever the missions are that we will be doing. But let's just go back to import and export DLC for example. The stealing cars missions were super simple and super easy because you could only steal one at a time. So more complex missions where you could steal multiple vehicles at a time would be a lot better in my opinion, just like when you're doing the cargo crates, to be honest. And then same again when you were selling those cars, you could only do basically one sale for 4 cars. All the 4 cars would just go to one sale destination, but in my opinion it would have been way better if you could sell a lot more cars but go to different locations. So you had all the cars in a pickup truck. I've talked about this before as well, but you had the transport truck with all the cars. You go to different destinations, maybe you fight off a few hostiles at each one, and then because you're doing a more complex version of the same mission with more cars, you also get better payouts, so it's more rewarding to do it that way at a more complex level. So that's just an example for the import export DLC, but I hope that more complex gameplay concept is something that is carried over to Gunrunning DLC to make it more challenging and to make it more rewarding as well. Also, one more thing that kind of relates to it being challenging and rewarding is it needs to be something worthwhile doing in public sessions, because at the moment everybody just wants to do these cargo missions, the biker business missions and the import export missions on their own in a solo public lobby, which should not be the optimal way to play the game in an online world. GTA Online is supposed to be an online world, but the optimal way to play it is in a solo public session on your own with no one else. That should not be the case. In my opinion, it should just be much more fun and in general a lot better to do the missions in a proper online lobby where maybe you have got risks, of course, because there's other players, but the incentive to actually combat those risks is a lot more rewarding than just doing it on your own, where there's just no one else at risk of interrupting whatever you're trying to do. You guys can feel free to disagree with me on that one, but that's just how I view like cooperative missions and gameplay in an actual online game. But anyway, the final thing that I'd like to see in this Gunrunning DLC is some type of mission, some PvE stuff, just like we had in the import export DLC. The actual special vehicle missions where you had to go through and do a mission with each of the special vehicles. You got a discount for doing it as well. Those missions themselves were actually really good, really awesome to play through from an actual gameplay standpoint. They were fun, they were rewarding, and it also tied in pretty well to the progression that you had to go through of stealing a bunch of cars to unlock these missions. That was such a good aspect of the import export DLC, and it was one of my favourite things. The missions themselves were really good. My favourite one was definitely the Ruiner 2000, and just like we had those special vehicles in the import export DLC, you can probably expect that in the Gunrunning DLC there's hopefully going to be quite a few military specific vehicles. I don't know what that could be, like trucks, jeeps, heavy combat vehicles, I don't know, whatever it is, those vehicles could definitely be incorporated into their own missions, just like the special vehicle missions, which were really fun, and I hope that's something that we get in the Gunrunning DLC as well. So there you go, there's a few things that I would love to see from the Gunrunning DLC. Let me know your thoughts on some of the points that I've made and some of the things that I'd like to see, as well as some stuff that you really want to see from the Gunrunning DLC. Leave that in the comments below. But yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have enjoyed it, make sure you leave it a like rating. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Follow me on Twitter. It's @iTwister. Join the Discord server as well. It's linked in the description. And with that said, I will hopefully see you all in my next video. See you later, guys.